Hello and welcome to another starter video here. A video set up to help people get started in the game of Satisfactory. So this video is going to be about simple, effective code layouts. I'd like to thank everyone who's watched my last video on the tutorial for pipes. It's got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people have thanked me saying they've got a lot of help from it. So that's why I decided to do this video. So this is just going to show you how to simply set up a coal production power layout in starter game. If you want more complicated layouts, there's a lot to see in Reddit, a lot to see in Twitch channels. There's a lot of YouTube videos there of YouTubers making massive layouts. So if you've gone past the small starter stage, I'm afraid I can't help you there. So straight into it. So this is the first layout I'd like to show you. So the first things you have to take into consideration when doing any layout in regards to coal and water is, first of all, your water extractor only produces a maximum of 120 cubic meters of water per minute. And taking that into consideration, your coal generators need a maximum of 45 meters cubes of water per minute. So that means a successful implementation of one water extractor, you can run just under 3 water extractors. Now this one on the end here, I've actually underclocked to 66%, which means that just covers the 120 water that this extractor is feeding into the pipes. And a simple layout is just feeding the pipe straight in and splitting it 3 ways to 3 separate pipes. And this is a perfect layout for the start. This produces 225 megawatts of power. The extractor will use 20, so you'll have just over 200 megawatts of power to use within your factory. And it's a great little starter for moving away from the good old biomass burner, which only produces 30 megawatts per unit. So to get the same results as this layout, you'd have to build maybe 6 or 7 of these. Yeah, nearly 7 of these to produce the same amount of power you'll be taking from a layout like this. So our next layout here is running just under 7 generators. So what we've taken into consideration here is, in the first one, it was the maximum amount you could run off one water extractor. Here we're running this system off the maximum amount that can be supplied in one pipe. So a pipe has a maximum capacity of 300 cubic meters of water per minute. If you split that down, that means you can run a maximum of 6.6 generators. So 6 generators at 100% and 1 generator at 66%. And that will use a maximum of 300 cubic meters of water per minute. Now as you can see, I don't have the coal set up here. It says because the coal, actually, when you set it up, you see it over here, it's set up in this, it blocks the view of a lot of the pipes. So I wanted to show off the pipes here and how they're set up. So running off the maximum capacity of 300 water, we have 3 water extractors here, each feeding in. They're just set up in an array into one pipe. No matter what way you set them up here, the water is always going to be directed towards the center from each of the pipes, and then down your array down the middle here. And then we have each of these forked off into the system. Now this system uses, it's called a manifold or an overflow system. So what happens is, from this point here, 300 water is pushed down this section, and then 45 goes off here, which means down towards here you have 255, then into this one, then you have another 45, then you have 210 here, and so on until you come to the very end, and whatever is left, which is the 0.6%, 6 generator water that you're going to need for the end. So again, this is the manifold overflow method. This can be same process used in regards to belts as well. So you can run a belt down the whole way down in front of all your machines and feed one after the other. And because you're not using up all the water to the very end, the system will eventually fill up and you'll be able to produce power. So this system here is, I think every machine is 75. It's 150 for 2, 4 for 300, 445. It's just short of, just over, I think, 500 megawatts in this system here. And this system can potentially is tileable. So you can just repeat this process for every time you want to produce another 500 megawatts of power. So now I move on to the third and final setup I want to show you. So this is the third and final setup here, and as you see, I've left the coal in for this one just to show it. I'll take it off in a second. So again, this is the same as roughly this one. We have 3 water extractors feeding this system, but this difference is this is running 8 coal generators. Now, each of your extractors produces 120 water. They're producing 360 water here in this array, and this is fed in a balanced layout. So they're producing 360, and then the array is actually feeding each of the generators, and then the 8 generators use 360 water per minute also. Now I'm going to remove the coal, and then we can take a look at the setup of how this looks. So this is a much cleaner view here of the array of water extracts and how they're feeding into the pipe. So you can see with the array over here, all the water was fed in from one end. Here the water is actually fed in at 3 different points. Now the reason for this is a more balanced feed. So this means we can supply 360 water into the center distribution pipes, and it'll be able to distribute 360 water, even though the maximum capacity of the pipes is 300. Now the reason for that is this. Take this first one for example. You're feeding in 120 water in here to this junction. Now at this point there's only 120 water here. The first thing is 45 splits off into the first generator. Then what happens is when you've taken 45 from 120, you get 75 left over. So there's 75 in here. Then it hits this junction here. Another 45 gets cut out of the pipe system. That means there's 30 left in this section. Now, for example, this machine here, it's pushing 120 water into the center point. Again, 45 gets split off into the middle, and then split either side. And then, so that means on either side of this, if you take 45 from 120, you get 75. Then there is 38 and a half going each side. So when it meets in the middle here, there's enough water coming through the system here and from the other side to feed this machine, this coal generator, and the same for the far side again. So on this layout, you can run 8 coal generators off 3 water extractors. On this layout here, you can only run 6.6 coal generators. Now it all depends on the layouts you want. Again, this layout here is fully tileable. So you could actually create this behind it, and you could create a block of 4, a block of 8 different layouts. So you could set 3 extractors for this layout, have another 3 extractors feeding another layout behind it, and so on and so forth. And finally, we're going to take a look at the manifold distribution of water I have running over here, and has 4 modules in it. So what we're looking at here is a fully tileable manifold arrangement. So down the bottom floor here, I have 12 water extractors. I have 3 feed each of my pipes, which means in each of these pipes heading upstairs, we have 300 water. And then they're tiled each, so there's 1 on each corner. And they're each feeding the 6.6 generators upstairs. Now this is a more complicated layout for your water extractors and your coal generators. The most simplest method is the one they were using on the far side, so the water extractors and the coal generators are on the same level. This way you're not having to deal with buffer tanks or deal with pumps. So again, the most simplest method is to keep the coal generators and the extractors on the same level. So we'll head upstairs We'll take a look at how the generators are set out. So you can see here, each of the generators, they're all again in modules. So the pipe from the 3 extractors downstairs feeds up into this buffer and feeds out into my 6.6 cold generators. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 of them run at 100% and 1 at 66%. Or what you can do is run all 7 at 95% and you get the same result. But again, this is a manifold layout, so you're working within the restriction of the capacity of the water tank supplying 300 meters cube of water. But again, for more simple layout, you can keep the coal generators and the water extractors all on the same level. So again, I hope this video helps some of you get up and running, make that big step from biomass into coal. It's got a lot harder and a lot more complicated since update 3 came out, but it's not as bad as you think. With the simple layouts that I showed you over the other 3 layouts, it is easily achievable and it is easily manageable and expandable. It's not as big as it looks like the first time anyways. So if you keep your coal extractors and your water coal generators and your water extractors on the same level, you can make it as easy or as hard as you want. This one is a harder level. I have seen a lot harder and a lot more complicated coal power generator setups. So again, thank you again for watching the video. I hope it helps somebody get out there, get up and started with this sort of this game, get you up to coal production. It's an exciting part to move up to more bigger automation within the game. And we'll see you in the next one. Slán!